Internecion Cube has possibly got to be my favourite piece of animated media ever. Sure, it's short and unfinished, but it deserves just as much love and attention as Liam's later project Murder Drones that seems to be getting all the spotlight. And one of my favourite things about it is the questions it asks. And you know me, I love a good theory. And as I said, this show is packed full of interesting questions. Why does Kiri see people as glitched? Why does she need to eat people? And yes, she does need to eat people. Look at the names on the cartons. Keen-eyed viewers would notice that all of those are parts of the human body. Other questions include, what the hell is up with her cat? And what's Max got to do with the government and Kiri? He seems like a normal kid for the most part. And most importantly, what is IC-0n? She's mechanical, but then she's biological. She can shapeshift. She's called government technology, but also far older. She seems to be the origin of the Internecion Cubes, which, well, can't be government tech if you were made by someone that isn't the government. And why would the government make a sentient AI and code it to have a god complex? It just doesn't add up. Plus, the show takes place in 2038. That doesn't seem too far from now. How could any government make technology this advanced that can shapeshift, assimilate, and be denser than any known material? But what if they didn't make her? What if she wasn't made, she was taken? Let me paint a different picture. You're an alien species observing Earth, and you want to take over. What with your far more advanced technology would you make to efficiently wipe humanity out, so by the time you and your alien buddies come along, the planet is ripe for the taking? Well, you'd make something that can perfectly infiltrate the species, learn about them, their weaknesses, their strengths, and whilst you're there, give them an inherent desire to consume and subjugate them like livestock.
It's like your pathetic livestock, fattening yourself up for when I consume your molecules.
Then, you won't just have a new planet, you'll have slaves too. But how to make them fit in? How about shape-shifting? Maybe even pull an invasion of the body snatchers or of the Thing. Make these infected by the cubes look just like family members and friends, but secretly are alien machines that want nothing more than to consume. In fact, we see this happen in the show, somewhat with Kiri being infected by an Internecion Cube. So let's say the cubes are alien technology, right? So why do the government have them? Simple. Ever heard of Area 51 or all of the UFO cover-ups? Not pointing any fingers or saying what's true and what's not, but it's not like conspiracy theories don't exist in Internecion Cube. Just look at Kofi and the bullshit he was talking about. Lunar bases, the moon's a hologram, Soviet cyborgs, and... hold on a second.
Ha! I knew it! So it's a covert shadow government mission after all. Third question. Catch! So you're not a reptilian, but it doesn't mean you weren't infected with an alien hybrid strain.
Oh, you have got to be kidding me.
But it doesn't mean you weren't infected with an alien hybrid strain. But it doesn't mean you weren't infected with an alien hybrid strain.
Kofi, you brilliant dumbass. Liam has been literally spelling it out in front of our faces the entire time.
Ha! I knew it! So it's a covert shadow government mission after all. But it doesn't mean you weren't infected with an alien hybrid strain, or reprogrammed as a Soviet cyborg. Did you and Rifanak Biowaste abduct Max to the lunar station?
Sure, half of it is bullshit, but there's genuine intel he knows that he really shouldn't know. Maybe it's displaced and fragmented, but it's somewhat true. Which brings me to this. Okay, so the cubes are alien in nature and are infecting humanity to take over. Makes sense. But let's say they are. Why is Kiri, an infected, still fighting back against them? Shouldn't she be mind-controlled and under their thumb? Well, this finally brings me back to Icon, the quote-unquote origin cube. And the description Max gives on her with all this alien talk in mind takes a far more clarifying turn when rewatching.
We've got a bit of a problem with the origin cube. Something's... I don't know. Something's wrong with it.
Now, of course, this clues us in on a lot of things. Icon is the origin of seemingly all Internecion cubes, and something is wrong with her. And if you look at some scenes closely, you can see his observation about Icon actually holds a lot of weight. Okay, let's run through what we just watched. Data recovery failed, log bunch of numbers, operation string godmind not found, reverting to program error, scrubbing connections, writing recovery drive 100% complete, program start, Icon. So she's missing data, which explains why she doesn't know what she is, and she also seems to be scrubbing connections to something. So think about it. She doesn't know what she is, and she's being connected to, maybe via some sort of alien Wi-Fi or whatever the fuck you want to call it, something extraterrestrial is trying to contact the origin cube. So, hi, yeah, it's Editing Jason here. It doesn't technically have to be the aliens contacting her, after all, since she's been in government captivity for a while, probably. So they could have just reverse engineered some of the technology and are trying to control her, and that's what the connection is. But I personally think it's aliens. However...
No, not what you think. No science going on here. Reverse engineering you would be highly unethical, which...
Hold a goddamn second. If this is taking place in America, and he is clearly trying to reverse engineer Icon, and Kofi was talking about Soviet cyborg spy things, I think I'm gonna make that a theory for another day, but I'm just saying, if Kiri and Max have stolen it from the American government, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if it had Russian involvement. And Kiri would have a reason, considering the American government is why she's like this in the first place, so... food for thought and possibly a theory for another time. But either way, I'll hand you back to past Jason, and just remember, we're talking about aliens, not Russians or Americans right now, okay? That tangent was pretty long, and yes, Editing Jason may appear again. This theory is deep. So it can continue its mission, and since Icon doesn't want to do that, it still believes that Max is its administrator, she gets rid of that connection. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, corrupted booting in safe mode. Editing Jason here, so basically, I kind of fucked up here. Icon tries to boot in safe mode, but as I was rewatching it to make sure I didn't screw up the audio, there was a final little scene at the end where it shows when it gets to 100% completed, it says error, and then she turns on. So I suppose this actually helps the theory even more here, as if she is unable to boot up safe mode, then she's unable to function properly. So what would a corrupted machine in safe mode not do? Infect other beings and do its own job. It would not be functioning properly. And that's the key. Icon isn't working, which means those that it should be able to control are able to fight back against it as she's in safe mode. And the aliens know this. And you will never believe who they sent to collect the origin cube and fix it.
Icon.
僕と妹は君の仕事の大ファンだ。死の子の言わずに一緒に来い。
Don't click off yet, I have a reasoning, don't worry. Iceland and Crow are a confusing last-minute addition and honestly aren't that important to the theory, but if the theory is true, then these two are going to be definitely important in the future, and most probably part 4. Because these two say some interesting stuff. Nice to meet you, Icon. My sister and I are big fans of your work. Like it or not, you're coming with us. Confusing? Yes. Not much to go off? Absolutely. However, it's enough. Firstly, let's get to the elephant in the room. He calls the cube his sister, which backs up my theory that the cubes are infecting humans, and specifically family members, and then passing off as them. However, Crow doesn't seem to mind this for some reason. Another thing I want to mention is that she can fully turn into a cube. Kiri cannot. So what's the difference? Well, I think I know. Either A, the boring option, Iceland is another version of the origin cube and Crow is calling her sister for random weeb reasons and this entire section doesn't make sense and will eventually be disproved. Or Iceland was infected by Icon before Icon was corrupted, becoming a perfect mimic. Hence why she can turn into a cube and Kiri cannot. Icon wasn't corrupted by the time she infected Iceland. However, she was corrupted by the time she infected Kiri. Which there is little evidence to back this up. On Iceland's hips, or a little bit above, I don't know anatomy well, we see the latter half of her code name, 313N, the Len part of her name. Kiri does not have this, not on her shoulders like Icon, and not on her sides like Iceland. It is almost screaming to us that Kiri is not a perfect mimic. On top of this, look at what she was infected by. Now, piecing this together is kind of a roadblock for this video, actually. It personally took me a little while to come up with a good reason to why this thing exists, but I think I have one. When Icon or another cube transforms, they have a lot of gore inside of them. This seems like another cube, possibly one infected by Icon, which then went to infect Kiri, which is why it's not perfect whatsoever and very gory in nature. As if it was perfect, it would just look like a person. So it makes a lot of sense to why this is such a horrifying body horror The Thing looking being, because it's not perfect. Which also explains why Kiri doesn't have the glowing lights. She is an infected of an infected. The genetic code is starting to falter the more it is strained through infected. In Icon, it is perfect. In this horrific abomination thing, it's semi-perfect and possibly just its true form. And now, onto Kiri, it is finally starting to wear and tear. Goop is seeping through her eyes. In the flash of lightning, you're able to see her true form, and when she does transform, she's not a full gore monster, she's this half-human thing, which makes sense. At this point, she's so out of touch with Icon's genetics that she's still semi-human. Okay, that was a lot. Let's take a step back, shall we? So, Icon is an alien, and the origin of this infection, maybe there aren't too many strings for the alien theory, but I have another curiosity of her origin for another video. So for now, let's just say alien. Max steals this alien tech from the government after the breakout that infected Kiri causes her to want to kill all cubes. Kiri is possible allies with the Soviets if Kofi is to be believed. Kofi and conspiracy theorists know something fishy is up, but like all conspiracy theories, a lot is wrong, but there's always some truth. So, Kofi could be right about the alien thing, the Soviet thing, or just one of them, and possibly neither. But considering the alien hybrid strain talk, there may already be a lot more aliens on Earth than we know. Iceland and Crow are possible alien allies, or maybe this is about different countries after alien technology, or possibly something more supernatural. We'll get into part 2. Then these also could possibly be working for the Japanese government. If so, Japan already has another origin cube, if there are more origin cubes, and wait a minute, maybe Iceland is the Japanese origin cube. Because think about it, if these aliens are so advanced that they can make something like Icon, why couldn't they make more than one Icon? If so, the imperfect and perfect infected theory will probably be false. However, this does open the door to a likely more truthful theory to where the story is going to go in the future, of the fact that Iceland is another origin cube, and there's another origin cube for maybe like every country they could find that is attached to something. So they saw Japan was like isolated and put a origin cube there. You know, just make sure every corner of the Earth has at least one origin cube, so every human will inevitably be infected. Which, speaking of infected, I don't think Iceland would be infected in that case. However, something like Kiri would be. And it also makes sense to why she was killing the girl, which I'm sure has a name, but I don't remember, in the scene where we see her true form for the first time. The girl was another origin cube, which is why she says this is the key to eradicate them all origin cubes. So there's a good theory to why all of Internecion Cube is even happening. But technically, we haven't seen any true concrete evidence that aliens are behind any of this. Well, in Internecion Cube, that is. There is a playlist on YouTube documenting all of the animations Liam Vickers unlisted from his YouTube channels. And one of them has an interesting insinuation. Take a look. Fair warning, however, it has no sound. Something tells me I don't need to spell out what you just watched. And considering the title of this video is called Abducted, it has pretty dark implications. And I think there's a scene in episode 3 that explains why the aliens would be abducting people if they're going to be making Internecion Cubes later on. And considering Abducted came out 6 years ago and Internecion Cube came out 5 years ago, there's a pretty big case for the Internecion Cube series being a sequel to the Abducted short. Don't believe me? Look at the claws that the UFO uses. Now look at Icon's claws. This is the same technology, likely the same aliens, and the same series. And finally, why would they abduct someone? Well, I-C-0n says it herself.
Of course, that's where your totally inexplicable powers hit a wall. By the way, my bike starts sweating in 5th gear.
No, it's purely mechanical. Machinery is easy. Organic is difficult, especially if I've never assimilated the configuration before.
So, I-C-0n needs to assimilate matter to manipulate that matter. Well then, that would also mean she couldn't shapeshift into a human form without having assimilated a human before. So if you're an alien species with a highly advanced flying saucer and need human biomass for your shapeshifting machines, well, what I assume this abduction is basically grocery shopping. That's right, they're abducting people to feed to the Internecion cubes, like the goats in Jurassic Park. And that's basically it for the alien theory. Internecion cubes are an alien machine race built to mimic humans after being fed their remains abducted by flying saucers to infiltrate humanity, infect them, and eventually wipe them out completely for alien overlords to take over. And if humanity is to survive, Max, Kiri, yes, and I-C-0n have to band together to defeat this alien threat, which I will assume is the final boss of the Internecion Cube series and will be the ending. Well, that or she's a demon, but that'll be for another time. Like, subscribe, share, hype, and also comment your theories below. I would love to see them, be it for Murder Drones, Internecion Cube, Cliffside, or any of Liam's works, really. And if you don't, I-C-0n will be under your bed tonight.